All right, on page 9, we are going to talk about working backwards with geometry. Okay, so the second slide that you see looks like this. Okay, it says using a formula to work backward in order to find the missing information. Okay, we're going to start with just some equations because you should hopefully remember how to solve an equation. Okay, so when I look at number 1, 4h equals 24. Do you remember how to solve that equation for h, Sydney? Yeah. So remember when we would draw a line by the equal sign? Our goal is to get the letter by itself, so we have to get rid of the 4. So then what do you do, Sydney? Yep. So we're going to divide by 4, cancel out the 4s. We have h equals 6. Is that coming back to you? Kind of remembering that? Okay, let's look at the second one. If I draw a line by the equal sign. So this one's kind of a 2-step problem, but the variable has a best friend. That they're stuck together. What's the variable's best friend? Ellie. 5. So these guys are stuck together. So we have to first of all get rid of the 2. How do we get rid of the 2? Thor. So we're going to times each side by 2 first. These cancel. We have 5b equals 10 times 2 is 20. Now we want to get the variable by itself. How do I get the letter by itself, Owen? Divide by 5. And we have b equals 4. Okay, and then the last one, draw a line by the equal sign. We can do some adding to start. We can combine like terms first. Simplify what we can. 5 plus 7 is 12 plus x equals 18. And then I got to get the x by itself, so what do? Minus 12. And so we have x equals 6. Okay, now, from just doing them, they look just like algebra problems. We're doing algebra. Really, you weren't. You were doing geometry. Okay? These are all geometry problems without realizing it. This first one is how you would find the area of a rectangle. The area of the rectangle is 24. The base is 4. Find the height. The height would be 6. The second one was a triangle. The area of the triangle is 10. The base is, or the height is 5. Find the base. Base times height divided by 2 gives you area. The last one is a triangle, perimeter. You add the 3 sides of the triangle together and the perimeter is 18. 2 of the sides were 5 and 7. What's the third side? So we had to work backwards to find that missing information, okay? So we're going to do the same type of thing, starting with a problem like this. A triangle has an area of 17.5 square centimeters. Find the height of the triangle if the base is 5. Okay, now, the first thing you guys are going to do every time, and I'm going to expect to see this on your paper also, is you're going to start with a formula. What formula might we need for this problem? Sydney. Good. We're talking about area of a triangle. So everybody start by writing this down. Area equals base times height divided by 2. That is how we find the area of a triangle. Now, if we start with that, now we can substitute in, okay? Now, I know for a lot of you, or some of you, not a lot of you, some of you don't like this part because you have to write something down. You're going to have to get over it, right? We've talked about that. So we write the formula down. Now let's substitute what we know. Do we know the area?
Yes.
Yeah, the area is 17.5. Equals, do we know the base?
Yep.
5. So I'm going to put a 5 there. Times, do I know the height? No, so I'm going to leave an h there and divide by 2. So I started with my formula and I substituted numbers in. Now I can solve it. The variable has a best friend. Which ones are best friends?
4.
The 5 and the h, so they need to stay together. I need to get rid of the 2. How do I get rid of the 2, Emily? Times by 2 on each side. 17.5 times 2 is 35 equals 5h. Divide by 5. H equals 7. So the height of this triangle is 7 centimeters. Can we check if that works? What's 5 times 7 divided by 2? 5 times 7 is 35, divided by 2 is 17.5. That's the area. It works. Does that make sense to everyone? Are we okay with that? Okay. Let's look at the next one. The perimeter of a square is 19.2 inches. Find the side length of a square. Tell me a little bit about a square. Ellie.
It has 4 equal sides.
4 equal sides. So all 4 sides are the same. So if this side is x, what's this side? X, and this side is x, and this side is x. How do we find perimeter? Add them all up, right? X plus x plus x plus x equals 19.2. Okay, you should be writing this up. Some of you like wait for me to tell you. You should write this in your notes. You should just automatically write it. What's x plus x plus x plus x? 4. 4x. So we have 4x equals 19.2. And then we solve this. How do we solve it? Reckon? So 19.2 divided by 4. So x equals 4.8. And it would be inches. So far, so good? Is that making sense to everybody? Questions? Okay, flip the page. All right, the area of a parallelogram is 27.9 square feet. The base of a parallelogram is 9 feet. What's the height? What formula do I need for area of a parallelogram? Go ahead, Susie. Careful, that's a trapezoid. So she was going to say base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2. That's trapezoids. Area equals base times height. Okay, that's a parallelogram. A equals B times H. So start with that formula. Do we know the area? Yep, it tells us it's 27.9. Do we know the base? Yep, that's 9 times H, and we solve it. Divide by 9. 27.9 divided by 9, 3.1 feet would be the height. There's our answer. Okay, this is pretty easy if we remember to start with a formula. So most of the time when you guys have questions for me, it's, well, I don't even know where to start. Start with a formula. What's the problem about? Okay, let's try one more like this. The living room of my house is rectangular and has an area of 150 square feet. I want to purchase a rug to fit the room. I found a rug that is 10 feet wide. How long does it need to be to fit the room? What shape is the room? Rectangle. So what formula am I going to need, Sydney? Area equals base times height. The area is 150. Does it matter if I put this 10 as the base or the height? Not really. It doesn't matter because a rectangle, I could turn it either way. Okay, so we'd have 10 times H, and then we solve it. Divide by 10. So we have 15 equals the height. So it needs to be 15 feet long. Questions there? So far, so good? Okay, so we've kind of talked about parallelograms, triangles. We've done some perimeter, all that kind of thing. After lunch, we're going to talk about circles. Okay, so you can.
You don't remember that word?
Okay, we're moving on. All right, 2 slides to go. Okay, so let's talk about these last ones, which here we have to be careful, and especially with the circle stuff, because we get stuck in a trap usually of using the same thing. Like we see diameter and we think, oh, we use the circumference formula, or we see radius and we say, oh, we should use the area formula. So you really have to be careful. This one says, find the diameter of a circle if the circumference is 43.96 inches. What formula am I using in this problem? Which formula do you think? I really only have 2 formulas. I have either the area, I have these 2 formulas. I have this one and this one. Which formula should I use? Should I use C equals pi times diameter or A equals pi times radius squared? Bracket. Do you see anything in this problem about area?
I meant C equals.
Okay. So start with the formula. C equals pi times diameter. Write that down first. Then we fill in what we know. The circumference is 43.96. Pi is 3.14. We're trying to find the diameter. We divide by 3.14. 43.96 divided by 3.14. I get 14. So the diameter of the circle is 14 inches. Done. Okay, the second one says find the radius of a circle if the circumference is 15.7 feet. Which formula should I start with? Abby. Yeah. I can't switch to this formula because I don't know A, right? I have to stick with C equals pi times D. The circumference is 15.7 equals 3.14 times D, and then we solve it, divide by 3.14. 15.7 divided by 3.14. I get D equals 5. Am I done?
No.
Sydney.
You have to find the radius of the
Yeah. So ultimately, this problem asks me to find the radius. In order to find the radius, if I know the diameter being all the way across the circle, the radius is half of that. So like Sydney said, you have to divide by 2. So the radius equals 2.5. Now we're done. Okay, so there is that extra step sometimes if you're asked to find the radius versus the diameter. So far, so good? Okay, last slide. This one. The area of a circle is 28.26 square feet. Find the radius of the circle. Area, since it's talking about area, we're switching our formula. A equals pi times radius squared. Okay. A is 28.26. 3.14 times r squared. So we divide. Again, if you're not writing this down, make sure you're writing it down. So 28.26 divided by 3.14. I get r squared equals 9. Is that the radius? Is the radius 9? No. That's the radius squared is 9. So what's the radius? Or 3. So the radius is 3. Now, some of you figured that out in your head. You just knew, well, what number squared would give you 9? In this case, it's 3. But what if it's not so nice? What if we end up with something like r squared equals 5.1? I'm not going to be able to do that in my head. What am I going to do then? Use my calculator. How am I going to use my calculator? Sydney.
You push like the one button and then you push like X squared, but it comes up with the square root.
Yeah, we need to find the square root. The opposite of squaring a number is the square root. So I have to do the square root of each side and you get r. Now you have to remember how to use the square root button on your calculator. It's been a while. If I want to do the square root of 5.1, on this kind of calculator, you have to hit the second button and then the x squared, and it puts that symbol on your screen. And then you can put 5.1 and you get 2.3 rounded to the nearest 10. Okay? If you don't know how to use your calculator, you need to be asking. And I'll help you. Okay? So let's try this last one. Find the radius of a circle if the area is 254.34 square inches. Go ahead, Sydney. A equals pi times radius squared. We fill in what we know. 254.34 equals 3.14 times r squared. Divide by 3.14. 254.34 divided by 3.14. I get r squared equals 81. 9. So it'd be 9 because the square root of 81, we get r equals 9 inches. What if I said now I want the diameter? What would the diameter of that circle be? Oh, 18. So if it asks for the diameter would be 18 because the diameter is double what the radius is. Good with that? Questions there?